What's up, everybody? So I wanted to make a quick video showing the difference with having the EQ on in CS2 and not having an EQ, and how much better it's going to make your game sound. Especially when using VoiceMeeter, you can change up your microphone and have EQ for that, and pretty much have two different sources coming out, so you can separate your game sound from your Discord sound. You could also have more control over how loud your mic is and how quiet it is. So yeah, let's get into it. So you're going to go download VoiceMeeter Banana. You're going to check this box that says run on startup, check system tray, and then we're going to set up the settings. So this right here is the sound that you're going to hear on your desktop. Once you set up this first, so you got to get ASIO for all. And you want this version right here. So download this version, look it up online. And that's going to be a driver that we're going to be using instead of using the Windows driver. And the point of having that driver is so that we can use a default buffer rate, which is going to be 64. So you have no latency on your mic. So it would sound like this if you're listening to yourself back. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I can. So it's direct. There's no latency at all whatsoever. So to set that up, you could usually just use your mic by actually just setting it right here in the first place, right? But you want to use the ASIO driver, so we're going to set it up by using this right here over on the ASIO input. So if I didn't have these ones here, they wouldn't be here. So now my mic's back, okay? So once we get these set up right here, the default is lower than 128. It's going to be 64, which gives you no latency, like I said. So what we're going to do now is we're going to explain that A1 is the sound that you hear. This is an auxiliary sound that you're going to hear for like Discord. You could set it up that way. So what we're going to do is go down here first to your sound settings. After you install VoiceMeeter, and you're going to go through all of your devices first and pretty much disable every single device in here. Like if you don't have you don't want to have anything else enabled except for the Windows sound device that you're going to have and the two VoiceMeeter inputs for auxiliary and regular input. Same thing with your recording. You're going to want only your microphone and the auxiliary and the output for this as well. So go into these properties and make sure that everything matches exactly to 4800 hertz, 24-bit. Okay. I suggest dropping down your sound or your mic level down to 99 so it doesn't cook. And do this for all of your devices. Make sure that these exclusive modes are unchecked as well and match the hertz in the bit. That way, everything matches and it's not going to be changing up in the background. If you notice, I got 48 hertz, 48,000, 40,000, and then 64 here. So everything matches. You dropped all these down to 512, 512, 512. And then this one, even though it says default, well, I guess you would have to have an interface to make sure that you're actually using the actual bit rate that is underneath default. So my default for this is, oops, I'm sorry. So I installed the Focusrite software. So this right here, see, I got 48 and then my buffer size is 64. If I change this to 1, now this is now 128, which is giving me a little bit of input lag. So what I want is 64. Now I'm at 64, I got no input lag, and it's going to stay that way because this determines what this is using. So that's just for like my interface, it's a Scarlett. Okay, so I got my mic coming out of my Focusrite. I'm not using it as my default anything. So what I'm doing is using VoiceMeeter output as my default mic, which is any three of these pretty much. So B1, B1, B1 is the default mic. Okay. Could also be this one over here instead of this one over here. This one over here. Okay. So I'm just going to mute my default mic, which is picking up anyway. And I'm going to use the ASIO driver, like I said, which is also the volume for it is over here and right here. Okay. And we can EQ that by adjusting these middle bands right here. The dBs for the bass, the treble, the mids, the highs. And then save it once you do. Okay. Once you sound good, save it. Then you're going to do pretty much the same thing for this EQ right here. You right click it, and this is what you're going to want to use for CS2. CS2 is going to sound so much better if you set it up like this, or at least something similar, so you don't have a lot of this right here in the middle area. That's where all that like really muffled sound comes from, all that mid weird bass that CS2 has. You don't want any of that, so I suggest maybe just copying these exact numbers down the way I got it, and leave all of these on the top, and leave it on the bell shape, which is not these arrows like that. You want to leave it all on bell, okay? And then you're going to save that one as well. So you got an EQ for your output A1, and then you got the one for your mic, B1, A1 and B1. And then the third one you're going to save is going to happen when you save the whole entire settings. So what we're going to do is copy the settings down like I got them right here, like this. And this will be your mic, your sound, your Discord, if you want to set it up on a separate path. It'll still use A1, but it'll just be using a separated volume system. Okay, so I'm going to just go like that for now. So just set it up like this, so you're just using it like that. Once you do this, now you're going to save, check system tray, check run on Windows startup, and then load settings on startup. And then you're going to save the setting. I'm sorry, don't do this one first. Do save setting first after you do these two bottom ones. So save it, boom, rethinks, VoiceMeeter, cool. Now it's like that. And then you're going to go, now you're going to load on startup, check it, and it's going to ask you what file you want to use. So then you use that one that you saved, and then that will do you good. It'll start every time you start Windows. Now, you can set up your Discord same way. Make sure that everything in Discord is matching your input, your output. And you're going to do that by really quickly going to settings in Discord. And now you got see, I got my mic, auxiliary, output. You want to use VoiceMeeter output, and then VoiceMeeter auxiliary input if you want to use it on a separate than the game. If you do it on the input here, it'll just be the same as what the game volume is. So right now my Discord volume and my game volume will be controlled by one knob, which is this one. And that can get annoying if you want to separate it like I was doing. Just separate it by using the aux. Okay. So now I want to use my aux for the volume here. This is now the people in Discord. So that's set up that way. Okay, now you can save it again, save settings, and that will always load. So if you do any changes to your EQs, okay, like over here, you have to save them as an individual file first, and then you want to save it again for the actual program to load the individual file that it was using before by saving it again and then loading it again on startup. Cool. So that's all set up. Just be really mindful that this is the default device for your microphone, and none of these are really being used, so disable them, especially Realtek. And same thing with these two over here. You want this one to be your default device as well. And be mindful of, go to properties and make sure that everything matches, okay? and get rid of all the exclusive modes so nothing gets overtaken by another program. Like sometimes when you used to start CSGO back in the day, if that exclusive mode was on, then it would like not let you use, it wouldn't even like work, like the sound wouldn't work, it would cut out on you and it'd be all shitty. So speaking of cutting out, if you have a buffer rate that's too high for all of your sound that's going through these paths here, say if like I was using 112 or 120, say this one, right? And then this one has the same high, and then this one has a really high number. Now when I start into gaming and I open up like maybe a video, what's going to happen is you're going to start hearing a lot of crackling and you're going to be like, what the hell's wrong with my sound? You're going to start freaking out. So what you want to do is keep these low so that you have enough buffer space. See how up here it says 7168? So that's how much buffer space you got for anything that's going to be running through this path, like simultaneously. And usually you're going to only be using one driver to do so. So if I was using like this driver and this driver, using another driver up here, it would crackle out on you. So just be mindful of using a low number for your buffer rate here. And of course, the ASIO driver is what's capable of getting the 64-bit buffer rate here, which is giving me the really non-latent microphone for monitoring. Okay, so I think if you were to hear the difference over here, you might agree that there's now a little bit of latency and you can see the difference. See how like, and just a little bit. And I don't really like that, so what we're going to do, that's why I'm going to use the ASIO driver over here and keep it at lowest latency I could possibly have. Okay, I think that's all there really is. I guess I could play the end of that video just to hear how good CS will sound afterwards. Enjoy.